All right, hello Opera Omnia, Bishop here. We're going to be doing the CPU Triple Gateway Lufenia Plus. We're going with Shadow, Porom, and Cor. Gotta say, this took me a little while longer because I know so many people have been having a good time with this that this one's been pretty easy. I've actually been struggling with it, not because I think it's overtly challenging. I was just having difficulty with it. But I think as I was trying to beat my head on the wall to get Ace and Porom through this thing, and so I found Porom's pretty good. I was trying to use Shadow a lot, and that's where I was having difficulty and with Reigns and everybody else. So I went with Shadow because he's going to handle the orb, and because I actually, through the whole testing process of this, learned how to play him really good. Cor, not just because he's Cor, but because he gives much more consistent off-turn damage than Ace's traps were doing. I could usually get about 8 turns in. So now I actually went with Titus there, and this is why it took me a while. I had to learn some new characters and some new calls, and Titus's call is actually quite good, and that's part of the thing I realized is that one of the things that can help make this fight a lot easier is stacking as much speed down as you can here with this. So that's one of the things that I was able to do with this to try to help slow these guys down, because the more often C would take turns, the harder it would be for me to get rid of him. So C was actually the biggest culprit, but the biggest idea here that I'm doing, it's just basically focus on the main CPU with every single thing that I've got. Watching buffs, basically hitting them with Wild Throw as often as I can, keeping Cor locked here on Shadow, keeping Porom's buffs up, letting her battery, let her get to AoE. So that was kind of the whole thing. It wasn't just that Shadow was going to be single target. I was going to be able to really whittle down the two side nodes by letting Porom and Cor kind of get to work here with the different AoE attacks that they're going to be able to use here. And this is what I think really let me bring the damage down, because with Ace you would get so long, and then all of a sudden those traps would be gone faster than you realize, and you had no other way to really off-turn damage him. Now granted, I didn't have a green Ace, so that would be some of the damage issues even with Porom that I had, and just trying different characters that I had. So trust me here when I say I think Setzer might have been a little bit better, because it would have let Cor hit more consistently than it was before. Now as you notice there, I just finally brought in the Zach friend for that. So what I decided to do, because I noticed they do kind of run through them real quick, I didn't put Zach on initially. I used the special throw brave attack the first time to lock all those guys, or to lock B on Shadow here at first, and just kind of was like, okay, it's early. So and Porom having the HP, or having the party last stand, I wasn't stressing too much about Cor taking, or Cor or Porom for that matter, taking a bad hit for what was going to happen. So right now the best idea that I have, unless I know I'm about to, is rotation of Wild Throw, Evasion, and then the following turn was going to be whichever one I had. So we're going to set it up here because I just refreshed the buffs. So again, Wild Throw right here, Evasion, so that I'm going to be able to trick the orb. Cor is going to keep right on going. And then with that one, I went with Shadow in order to get the buffs up, because that's the best time to be able to do that one. And it's amazing how many skills you can run through with Shadow here. So now with this one, I'm not doing a bad job on the HP. In my first run, I actually did it in about 43 turns. This one I think is going to take me 55. I didn't quite get the turn order. As you see, the bosses, or the enemies are kind of really bunched together. I was able to really push through in my initial run with this in order to really take these guys down. I think before they even got a turn, I think on my initial run, I think I had them down to 79%. I just had incredible turn order and jumping here at the beginning. I think A was going first and whatnot. So it was good because I didn't have to fiddle with the orb. But I was losing out on, I was missing out on a lot of stuff here. So as you see, C's about to boost. So getting about a 5% clip on this one. You know, it can really slow you down and add a whole bunch of turns to this. So where I'm coming up right now is after this this heel coming up again. The bosses just have because I didn't have core locked on. That's the one problem that you bring with core and shadow, is that if you get the free turns and then you have to refresh the LD, well, core's buff's gone. So you do lose that. So you have to be careful with what you're doing. If you are kind of watching this right now, before I get into the Jecht move and everything else, please consider liking and subscribing. I really appreciate it. I'm on a drive for 3 subs. I'd love to be able to get one. And if you can, please consider leaving a comment. I'd really love any feedback or anything that can help me improve my gameplay or my commentary here for these videos you're watching. And I would appreciate that. So the reason I'm kind of taking a moment here to set up, I was hoping to get under 50, but as fast as this thing healed again, I said, okay, I got to start setting up and getting ready to go for Jecht. I really wanted to get Jecht in without having to use the next LD from Shadow here coming up. So that's where I'm setting it up here. So since I was debating here whether or not, so I'm going to go with it here to get the evasion. I'm going to go one more time here on what's going to happen. Now I am going to make a bit of a change here with what's coming up. So I was trying to actually set it up to where I was hoping that Porom was going to end up behind Shadow, and he ended up doing that. Using Titus a little early here, but it's like, okay, I got to get these buffs refreshed and put back on there. And so this is why I decide to get myself a little bit of a move here. Go ahead and use an LD just to try to get a little bit more damage down, because I was trying to get him under the threshold and trying to get as much of that HP bonus as I could on Kurosami before it took off, because I was actually hoping I was going to be able to get, as I'm able to pull off here, I'm able to get Shadow's turn in, so it's going to work out before B. So that worked out for me right there. So I'm going to go ahead and Wild Fang. Now I'm actually going to, so I was debating what to set up here. So since I saw I had the extra turn, that's why I went with the throw. So now I got 2 more turns coming in. So I'm going to set the evasion up right now, and I'm going to actually bring in Jecht right here. And what I was hoping is that I was going to get him in and out during the summon, so I wouldn't have to worry about protecting him. But my gosh, green Jecht, using him here. Now don't get me wrong, he's synergy. I don't doubt that. But my gosh, does he just tear this orb up here with this? And I wonder, how much better would it have been if I could have, gotten that thing all the way up to 5 with this. And that's part of the thing I think that didn't help a lot, is I wasn't on the best Kurosami debuff level with that. But my gosh, this Jecht slash, just impressive. I'd have been stacking some BT effects here. I mean, it's getting to the point where I need to green somebody and just watch the bosses just die. I mean, it's impressive seeing some of the runs that are in single digits with what you can do. Like I said, when I finally decide to green somebody, I'm going to do Ace and I'm going to do Bart's. But boy, I tell you, I got the materials. I'm thinking Jecht is definitely a prime candidate here to get another green and another damage dealer with that, especially with, my gosh, I mean, just I'd be impressed to see I want to see what he does outside of synergy, but boy, he looks like he could really do some damage there. I mean, that's 25% health right there. So Fortunately, I'm not going to get the little extra here. I'm going to get a little extra here with Jecht, but I wasn't, or I was hoping I'd get a little bit more with Jecht, but that's all right. So here comes the second Zach lock, because that was the one thing I was having so much trouble with Zach. It was like, okay, I was coming in with that first lock buff, and I couldn't hold on to it in between everything. So that's when I had to get a little creative, look more into shadow. I was like, hey, I can get that, at least I can get lock on the boss, and in this way I can have him and make sure I'm being careful with that. So it was nice to keep the frame on the, it was nice to keep that frame. I didn't know if that was going to do it. I just wanted to refresh Porom's buffs with that. So I was thinking at this point, it's like, okay, we're going to make a run here. We're going to get these guys down, and it just didn't turn out quite as well as I hoped it would here. I had to get a bit more aggressive than I liked here. So that's the one thing I was trying to use all the moonlight ones that I couldn't remember which buffs I was running low on here with this. So like I said, just the way these guys were getting their turns were coming in, as you can see that B was just getting healed up a whole lot. So thankfully I was able to get some more damage here on B and get the jump in and be able to start working with all those different things that we had there with that. Because I started to get worried now. It's like, man, I'm at 38 and this thing, I'm just not shaving it off, and I was like, man, I'm going to run out of lock skills. I'm going to have to play with different things. I'm going to lose damage. It's like I'm going to have, so that's why, for example, here, it's like, okay, let me send C back and cut another turn off of him. That's why I attacked C with that one instead of hitting the main CPU with that. Like I said, I start trying to get a little aggressive here in order to try to get B down, because it was like, man, I'm just not getting this the CPU down as much. They're getting so many turns. I almost kind of wonder if some turn rate down would have been good with that. I don't have a maybe with Shadow like a speed down order, but again with Shadow, these bosses are quick. With other ones, that might help. So I think I have Ferris's spear on him, which isn't bad, but I'm kind of noticing this isn't much. So this is where I was talking about the aggressive play. I was like, man, I see that C is coming up with the heal. It's like, man, I really got to get some damage off of this guy. Maybe I can kill it before it gets in there. I didn't know that. It was like, no, I'm not going to get 6% off at this point. So I was trying to kind of decide, what was I going to do? Was I going to try to wild throw, or was I going to go shadow stealth there with that? So then thankfully, because I got the extra turn, that's why I backed C back just a little bit more when I got the jump turn there with shadow stealth. Because I said to myself, okay, let's push that guy back and try to take a little bit more off of B, or take a little bit more off of the CPU. So I was like, oh, wait, hey, look at that. I got Reaper's Gale. Let's see how far I can take this guy down. That's why I went with the LD here again, breaking him down even more. He says, hoping it was like maybe I could get him to, with him going, that I might be able to get another break and push him back even further. Fortunately, that just didn't happen for me there. So I got close. I was hopeful. I'd even thought about trying to kill C with all that and kind of hold on to B, but it just didn't work out. So I was like, all right, 6%, I'm close. I know usually one good rotation here with, and he wasn't gonna, I lost the lock. I was like, okay, but well, Cor shouldn't get hit and shouldn't die with C targeting. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just focus in here on B. Thankfully, this is when I started getting some breaks in at just the right place and at the right time, and Cor was able to start activating a lot more because I didn't have to rotate the Shadows LD with this. So that's why instead of going with the LD buff, I went ahead and just went with the Moonlight Dawn to try to kill it. Thankfully, like I said, I knew C wasn't going to heal on this turn, so I was in good shape. It's like, okay, now this thing's got to die. So kind of rushing it here. That's why I decided, okay, we're not going to avoid anything because nobody's usually getting beat up too much. That's why I went ahead and got hyper aggressive right there with that. So now I decided to evade to make sure that I didn't get shadow broken with anything and to get the freebie turns. But that's why I started focusing here on C, because I was like, okay, let's see if we can get rid of that C buff, or we can get rid of C before he gets a chance. And thankfully I was able to do that, so nobody got to heal up, because I was like, boy, I'm getting close on the turns here. Like I said, last time it took me 43 when I actually did it. So this time it actually took me just a little bit longer. It took me 54, but there we go. So Shadow, Porom, Cor, like I said, a little bit better optimal play, a little bit better turn order in my favor. I knocked 11 turns off of that, so very doable with this team. And like I said, a lot of great fun here. So if you don't have a BT, this is one you can pull off. Like I said, if you can, please consider liking and liking and subscribing. I'd appreciate it. Consider leaving a comment, because I appreciate any constructive feedback about my commentary and my gameplay, anything to help out. So I appreciate it. See y'all in the next one. Bye.